Well, first of all, the talent. I think it is an indisputable fact. We were the best and are the best talent acquisition. In fact, that was the only thing that anyone ever believed we were outliers at. Well, if you start with the founding team, it was Peter, me, Joe, Stefan, Nathan, and all of us called our smartest friends and said, we're going to change the world. We were maybe looked like hyperbolic. We were basically saying we're going to be the Palantir of today. In fact, we would send out these offer letters with, you could pick high cash or high equity, and high equity was we'd get to $20 billion and people would get so angry.
How did Palantir's founders defy the odds to create a culture like no other? Check this out.
We're going to be $20 million. This is a total ripoff. And we called it, and I would say, I would say Joe, who's I think pretty famous now, Bob McGrew, who went on to be one of the founding fathers of large language models, and I were very, very focused on hiring. It was like, it compounded quickly because if you're being, Bob McGrew is one of the more talented people on the planet, and anyone who comes into his presence who's talented is like, wow, okay, I'm going to work with, and then this went on and on. The second, and then it went from one person to another, and there's so many funny stories. But Bob McGrew came to me one day. He's like, hey, Alex, I'm interviewing this guy, Ryan. Ryan is the smartest, maybe the smartest human being I've ever met. And he's like, Alex, what's it like to manage someone smarter than you? So that was the Palantir culture. I was like, honestly, was not insulted by that. And then it was like very high mission, very high rigor, very low pay, very high equity.
This speaks volumes about Palantir's foundation, an environment where the smartest minds inspire and challenge each other. High equity and shared mission over immediate rewards clearly fostered loyalty and innovation.
Together, it just was a really cool vibe, and there was nothing like it. It was like, and people who came into contact with it knew it. Now, the outside venture world hated us, but on the inside, it also reminded me a lot, like my parents were like this very unusual couple, and on the inside things were very happy, and on the outside everyone thought we were freaks, and that kind of made us even happier on the inside. Palantirians are truth-seeking, justice-seeking, fairness fanatics that are snobby justifiably about their intellect, but not based on where you went to school. Or there's who push responsibility into their area of expertise and take over, and are addicted to that culture. The negative side of ex-Palantirians is they often don't want to work for anyone who didn't go to Palantir. That's a problem, although they should just stay. And at the margin are unusual and difficult. And they're not convinced by orders. These platforms I mentioned, my success has been getting Palantirians to believe that my ideas are theirs. But there is no way, no Palantirian, I give like a real order. Like AIP, which is our thing I launched, there are very few things that they will not just follow orders. Now, if you develop a record of being, if you have a track record of being right, especially where they thought they were wrong, I think in that way they would be classically good investors.
This story paints a vivid picture of Palantir's culture, one built on trust, intellectual honesty, and a shared mission. They thrived as a close-knit team that challenged norms and focused on results. It's not about following orders. It's about proving your ideas through action. That's a rare and powerful foundation for success.
Good investors I've dealt with are anomalously incredible investors like you. if I tell you something and I come back to you 5 years later, especially if you thought it was stupid and I was right, that's impressive.
That's happened.
So, and that's how Palantirians are. It's like, yeah, that's really stupid. And then if you're right, then they listen to you. And we really struggle to get lateral hires. We have a couple, Mike Gallagher joined, that's working out. But you have no ability to tell someone what to do at Palantir until you've proven yourself on the battlefield. And I bring people into my office and let them prove themselves, but it's very low authority, very high. I decide for myself. I would say from a kind of military perspective, people make fun. It's very hard to get these consensus things to work, but once they work, people take on responsibility. And you would not believe we're 3,600 people and the impact we have. It's only 3,600, and we're not planning to be 10,000 because organized correctly and honestly, with AI leverage that we now have in our products and with AI, you can power whole industries with 100 people.
Palantir's culture of earned authority is a masterstroke in fostering innovation. By allowing individuals to prove their value, they ensure decisions are rooted in merit and experience. Their lean but impactful team is a testament to how strategic organization and AI leverage can outpace sheer size.
I had the privilege of reading the Technological Republic this weekend. Alex does not need the revenues with his stock at $73, but it's one of the most important books I've ever read. And I would urge everyone here, if you get the chance to read this book, it had a big impact on me. I learned a ton. And I'd like to delve a little bit into one of the big themes of the book. Silicon Valley, when it started out, there was a real mission alignment with the U.S. government and our nation, with our defense industry, with our space industry. It led to things like GPS, ultimately the internet. And then somehow, over the years, that bond broke, and the industry started becoming more interested in efficiency of advertising and very important consumer apps like Groupon tickets or things, as opposed to the original state. And it feels to me, though, like Alex, now that it's become clear that the next phase of national defense and dealing with our adversaries is software and AI, it feels like there's some momentum for the Valley to stop rejecting U.S. defense and work with the government potentially going forward, particularly some of the advisors to the new administration. How do you feel about this whole topic, and am I being overly optimistic that things are turning with regard to, I remember when Google's employees forced them to reject working with the U.S. government and so on. Where are we in that journey, and do you want to comment on this whole line of...
The tension between Silicon Valley and the defense sector has shaped decades of innovation, but the rise of AI might be the turning point. A renewed partnership with the government could restore focus on national priorities, paving the way for transformative progress in security.
History.
Well, I mean, things have come a long way. Project Maven, which is the targeting apparatus of the U.S. government, was going to be powered by Google. My version of how it happened was somebody on the search team, is a little bit of a caricature, but raised their hand and said, "Well, if helping the U.S. government is part of my job, I'm going to leave." And then they were like, "Well, screw that," and they pulled out. And they pulled out at a particularly painful time. And AI was a complete joke at the time, but we thought it might not be a joke someday. And then we built the DoD, by the way, has made a huge mistake, and I've told them this in private 1,000 times, but they should expose aspects of Project Maven to the U.S. population, not the parts that are obviously, but because one of the big issues we have in this society is obviously a legitimation crisis. We spend all this money on things and people perceive that none of it works. So, but at the time, it was viewed as insane and stupid to support the U.S. government or say anything pro-U.S. I do think it's changed quite a bit. I think it's changed for good reasons that you've elucidated. I support that, but also, quite frankly, because the Valley has realized you just cannot placate the anti-intellectual left. They'll destroy your business. And then I think that view was accelerated. By the way, I don't mean the progressive, like I view myself, and I think some people in the room probably, where you believe in fairness, meritocracy, inputs being even across society, you accept that the outputs will not be evenly distributed.
The shift in Silicon Valley's stance on national defense reflects a growing realization of its responsibility in a world driven by AI. Highlighting success stories and fostering transparency could reshape how defense projects are perceived, restoring faith in their importance.
The basic things that I think most sane people believe, but so I think that got exacerbated, quite frankly, after October 7th. I think Silicon Valley has been the most rational in response to the heinous terror attacks, and where almost everyone in the Valley, even if they don't speak publicly, was very much on the side of defending the West, as defined the way I would define it. And I think there's also the negative. We just can't partner with these people. They will destroy everything they touch, and there's no rational conversation. But then on the positive side, I think a couple of things have happened. Like one, whatever, venture community, bless their souls, it's a financial community, and Palantir's valuation does change things. It's like, people are like, wow, I can make a lot of money at that, and it is much harder than it looks, but it is getting easier every day because of reforms and because of the level of talent that is coming in to fix our government.
The response from Silicon Valley to recent crises underscores a pragmatic shift in its relationship with the government. The realization that shared values like security and freedom matter just as much as financial gain has created a window for collaboration. The reforms in governance and the willingness of talented individuals to engage with national defense make this an exciting time. But sustaining this momentum will require consistent dialogue, trust, and a commitment to ensuring these partnerships are built on mutual respect and effectiveness.